Thank you so much for your company. The details now. The Electoral Commission is dismissing allegations of voter fraud in the recent referendum that resulted in the creation of the country's latest regions. A viral video that emerged after the referendum has persons purporting to be EC officials thumbprinting some ballot papers. The video to some was evidence of rigging during the referendum. The EC at a news conference on Tuesday, however, says the persons captured in the video could not have been Ghanaian EC officials. Deputy Commissioner in charge of operations Samuel Tete says the insignificant irregularities recorded during that referendum cannot be said to have affected its credibility.
The Commission insisted that jackets should be worn throughout the voting period for security and identification reasons. And all the coordinators and officers who monitored the voting confirmed that this directive was strictly complied with. The question is, how come that none of the officials cited in all the videos was wearing the election official's jacket? Again, these officials were not recruited online. They were recruited by returning officers and the technicians in conjunction with the district electoral officers. They personally recruited them and trained them. The returning officers handed the election materials to the officials personally, and they also went around monitoring and had personal interactions with these officials on the voting day. Finally, the election officials submitted the election results and materials back to the returning officers after everything was over. With these interactions, the returning officers could have actually identified the faces of the people involved if they were really the staff of what? The Commission. A critical look at one of the videos in which somebody was thumbprinting ballot papers outside the screen reveals that even the ballots did not bear the conspicuous yellow and brown colors for yes and no, respectively, as appeared on the ballot for the referenda. And in the same video, you also find out that the logo on the papers on the next table was the old one without the coat of arms, which we did not use for the referenda. It is instructive to note that all the documents we used for the referenda bore the original logo with a coat of arms which had been reintroduced before the referenda.
On her part, EC Chair John Mensah vowed to protect the integrity of the Commission and says she will go every length to expose every wrongdoing, adding the IGP has been asked to investigate the viral video.
This is a matter that is very grave, and I think that, it's not something that the EC will condone with any of his staff, whether they are temporary or permanent. It's something that we consider very, very, very grave. And it is for that reason that we went out of our way. And I'm sure that this is maybe the first time that the EC has contacted the IGP, to take up matters such as this. I do not believe that this is the first time some such things have happened. But we consider it very grave because the EC has its integrity and its credibility to protect. We are all aware that in the recent past, the EC has had some damage to its credibility, and we do not condone, in any terms, acts that will seek to mar the integrity and the credibility of the EC. And so we are working very, very hard to restore any damage that has been done to the integrity of the EC. And we like to assure you and the general public that if any official, whether it's a permanent staff or a temporary staff, is found to involve himself or herself in such acts, the EC will not cover up at all.
Well, the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, is dismissing the explanation by the Electoral Commission on the alleged videos of overvoting and is rather calling for more investigation. This was contained in a statement signed by its Executive Director, Thompson Mensah, and copied to the Interior Minister, Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, and Chairperson of the EC. Now, Mr. Mensah Thompson joins me via telephone to explore the issue further. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
What exactly are your reservations about the explanation the EC gave?
I think yesterday, if you listened to the Electoral Commission on the explanation they attempted to give for the allegations of electoral malpractices that came out of the referendum, I think the entire, press conference and explanation that they gave, instead of answering a lot of the questions that were on the mind of the people, rather raised a lot of questions that the commission failed to answer. Now, if the commission comes up to dismiss the video and say they are not genuine, they are fake, or whatever that term that they used to call to dismiss the videos, then the commission must be able to give us more information about what they have done to authenticate those videos. And if they are fake, then we need to understand, one, how fake are those videos? Is it that the videos has been doctored, or the videos were not taken during the referendum at the polling centers? Now, how have they also tried to authenticate the identity of the people who were captured on the video? Because the EC yesterday said that they are not sure these people were their staff. Now, if the people are not the staff of the EC, then it also raises several questions that also needs to be answered. For example, how come people who are not officials of the EC were able to get so close to electoral materials to the extent that they were able to tamper with those materials? Then the other issue has to do with the lack of identity for these polling officials, which the EC said they provided jackets to be able to identify these people. And so once the people in the video are not in jackets, that is enough basis that these people are not staff of the EC. Unless, of course, the EC want to tell us that those jackets are not removable, or whatever that explanations are, then those reasons cannot be valid. I think that it is important that we put the issues in the right context and let the Electoral Commission understand that you cannot investigate yourself in such a serious matter that borders on your own organizational reputation. And it's important that an independent entity with that investigative capacity to be able to carry out forensic audit on those videos give us further details. Because if the EC says that these people are not their staff, then who are they? We need to find out, because what they were engaged in those videos were criminal. And so we need to be able to ascertain the identity of these people so that we can invite all these people for interrogation. And that will further, give the EC, proper information on how to reform and take certain actions going into the district assembly elections and the subsequent elections that they are going to hold.
Mr. Thompson, in your statement, you try and relate the voter turnout to one way or the other, the authenticity of what happened in those videos. I'm just wondering how you're linking the two. What informed your decision to link the voter turnout to this issue of overvoting by some, or thumbprinting of ballot papers by some EC officials, allegedly?
So, if you look at the figures provided, or the voter turnout, it was very clear there was serious low voter turnout. And that created a vacuum because people do not turn out, then people will have the opportunity to be able to, use the ballot papers that were not used because people do not turn up to be able to engage. If people had turned up, during the voting process, then the ballot papers that were issued to the polling centers would have been exhausted, and nobody would get these ballot papers to be used to engage in any overvoting. But once there was a low voter turnout, that means there's a huge chunk of these ballots that were left unused. And so if there are videos coming out that other people were in certain places and, thumbprinting these ballot papers and stashing them in the ballot boxes, then they need to be investigated. I think that the link between the two scenarios is not very far. I don't know if you understand the point I'm trying to make.
Well, now the EC says that the IGP has been, informed about this, and they're calling for more investigation. This is in line with what you say in your statement, that the EC should not be investigating itself. Are you satisfied that the IGP is involved in this?
We are not satisfied. I think that there are investigative agencies. The police can be involved, but we have YOCO, we have the CID, we have the BNI, and other investigative agencies that have the technical capacity to be able to investigate all the video evidence. Because I don't think the EC has that capacity to be able to investigate all the technicalities and the complex nature of these videos. And so we have to give it to the relevant agencies. The IGP can be involved as a monitor, but just the IGP being involved does not instill any confidence in the process or make bring out any further confidence. I think what the people want to see is that these videos and all the evidences that were gathered from the referendum are handed over to the appropriate agencies, and then proper investigations are being carried out. The report is out. Recommendations are being made to the EC for their subsequent activities, and then we to learn from the process. Otherwise, if we decide to sweep this issue under the carpet, like the EC have sought to do with their press conference, and come out, to even dismiss these videos, whilst it is also claiming that the CID and the police is also investigating the matter. So what if the police, after their investigations, come up with a report that is different from what EC has come out to tell us yesterday? Clearly, then the image and the reputation of the EC is being put under public scrutiny here, and this can impact on the image of the Commission negatively. And these are some of the things that we are advising against, that the EC, before they come out with statement or information, they should sit up. I thought that perhaps if they've concluded their investigations, they would have waited on the other agencies and get, probably depending on the capacities that they have, because the EC is not an investigative agency, and so they could not be able to, engage in the technical analysis of evidence. The authorities that have the technical capacity are going through the process. Why don't you wait for them to also come up with their report before you give us a comprehensive, information? Then you come out to give us this information, independent of what the people with the technical capacity are doing. So what if they come up with a different report?
The EC could argue that there was so much pressure, especially, there was a news conference before this one, but it wasn't to discuss this particular incident. And there were a lot of questions about these videos that had come up after the referendum. And so wouldn't it be okay if the EC would just want to let us know their findings with regards to the identities of these people? And that's what they did primarily yesterday, talking about the reasons why these people don't work for them, given the jackets example and all. Don't you think that it's just okay for the EC to have come up with those findings, detaching itself or staff from that incident, and then allow the police to continue with their investigations?
Yes, then they should have vividly tell us the limitations of the findings that they are giving us, because then you make us understand that, okay, what our preliminary investigations suggest, but we've relayed the other evidence to the appropriate agencies who are carrying more, thorough analysis of the evidence. Then we can admit. But if you come to downplay and dismiss the videos, which you don't have the technical capacity to be able to ascertain whether they are genuine or not, based on your core mandate, which is not investigative, but to handle matters of election, then what you do is that you put the work that the other investigative agencies are doing under prejudice, and so it becomes what the EC did becomes prejudicial to the processes that the other investigative agencies are also doing.
Thank you very much for your time. We'll leave it here. Mensa Thompson is Executive Director for the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA.